Welcome back to Grade 3, Unit 3, Life Cycles and Traits for Science. The last couple weeks we've been looking at different traits that we have, and we've been talking about how, depending on where you came from, or some of the different backgrounds that your family has come from, makes us look and act certain ways. This week we're going to look at heredity and how it impacts your traits, which would be your eye color or your hair color and so on. So this week you're going to be doing what's called a Punnett Square. And this is actually, they're simple to do, but they're very complex to analyze. So you'll be creating two of them, and it's going to show some hereditary traits that are passed down from your partners. The first thing I want you to do is create a Google document titled Punnett Squares, and then place a square like this on the right onto your document and label the square hair color. You're going to be using the same colors that you see, or the same letters that you see here as well. So you can put, you can keep in mind that you're going to use B's, but you're also going to be using R's. What I want you to do is look at your family, so your parents, and on the top place a big B above each box if your mother has brown hair, so those would be big B's, or a little b if she is blonde. So on the top I would have an example where someone would have brown hair, or if your mom or dad have blonde hair, that would be little b's. If it's red, I want you to write R for both of these. Then what you're going to do is you're going to combine the boxes. So in this column you'd have a big B because you're dropping it down, so there would be a B here and a big B here. And then you're going to go across as well. So then you'd have a little b next to that big B and a little b next to that big B. So all four squares actually are going to be big B, little b, big B, little b, big B, little b, and big B, little b. Once you do this for all the boxes, you're going to find out how you received your dominant or recessive traits from your parents. So if you are to have at least one big B in each box, then you're most likely going to have brown hair because there's a dominant trait there. Brown is going to be dominant. If you have a little b, so if one of your boxes is little b's, then you would have most likely blonde, or in that box you'd have blonde hair. So you could have potentially 4 different looking boxes, and it's not likely, but it could happen. Then what I want you to do is you're going to repeat this process, so make another box, and you're going to do it for eyes. And if your eye is brown, you're going to have a big B. If it's blue, you're going to have a little b. And if it's H, or I should say if it's hazel or green, you're going to have an H. And if it's green, you can also write H, because they're both going to be recessive traits, so they're not going to be dominant. Then draw a conclusion as to why you have the certain hair color or eye color that you have based upon looking at these Punnett squares. After you complete each of the squares, make sure you explain in one sentence on that document how you know that your eye or hair color is based upon these traits. So keep that in mind as you are working. For your writing connection this week, you're going to be continuing your narrative. So by this point, you should have completed your interview questions, you should have completed your interview, and you should be starting to analyze it and even writing it within your paper. Some of you have already started on, but others should at least have their paper signed up, or set up, sorry. What I want you to do then is to open that document that has your paper housed in it, and I want you to write chapters 1 and 2. And in chapter 1, you're going to be talking about where your family came from. This could be different from different countries, or it could be how they got to where they are now within our country. It depends on how far back your interviewees were able to go in their history. An example is you could be telling a story of how your family moved from Italy if you are an immigrant. Or another option is a story of how your family has moved around different parts of the country and decided to call Wisconsin home. For example, my parents were born in Virginia and California, and they met and decided to live in Wisconsin, and that's actually where all of our family is, and that's why they chose to stay here. In Chapter 2, I also want you to make sure that you include common hereditary traits of your family, so make sure that you talk about what you look like, and you can bring into account those Punnett squares that you just did, and also cultural traits of your family, so how your family acts, maybe some of the holidays that you celebrate, or religion or cultures that you feel that is very unique to your family.